Hey guys, welcome back to my channel again, and today we got game 3 of the World Championship match 2023 between world number 2 Nepomniachtchi from Russia and world number 3 Ding from China. As you know, Nepomniachtchi is the one who strike first in round 2, right? When he just counter the very rare H3 by Ding in a perfect way. And he just, I think, carry out a very good game, right? So, we have a rest day. And today, after rest day, we got round 3, where once again, Nepomniachtchi is white. So, most people today, in fact, expect e4 or c4 for me. So, to be honest, I kind of expect e4 a lot. I expect another real pass. But then once again, to everybody's surprise, which I think is, an understandable thing. Since you will be, I would say very surprised by how deep players have prepared for the match. In the game, d4 first move. Not something Nepomniachtchi plays a lot for white, but he started play that more lately, so this one can be split. Which is the game, knife 6. Ding's thought for around a minute here before playing this. Knife 6, c4, e6, knight c3, and d5. Ding also played bishop b4 as well, but here he just chose the queen's gambit, which not only a very, I think familiar guess at World Championship matches, but also I think is a very solid opening lately. d5. So here one can play knife 3, bishop g5, which are on very common lines, or also cd5. The queen's gambit decline exchange variation, a very common line, and also I think Kasparov's favorite. e5. g5 here, okay. The professional line. This here, e3. So here obviously there are many things which can be played by black. I think one of the most famous line is like bishop f5 and then queen f3 and then white went for the I think bishop f6 maybe, which although is still equal, but white should always be able to push. In the game, so Ding chose the most principled approach. This is here, h4, b7, d3. White can also play queen c2 here. So here there are two different ideas for white to play in these positions. He can try the minority attack, which I can say is a very thematic idea, but only was played in the past a lot. Nowadays this is pretty rarer. For the minority attack, the idea of white is to play b4, b5, and then take c6, trying to create a weakness on c6 here that can be attacked later on. Another idea that is seen a lot lately is bishop d3 and like knight ge2 and go for the center break, f3, e4. In the game, after some thought, Nepomniachtchi chose bishop d3. That's always c2. Okay, very normal variations. We get here, knight ge2, yep, knight b7, still main line. Castles and a5. This one, the if ideas here, the idea of this move is pretty subtle. It's not so easy to explain the ideas here, but I guess the main thing of this move is that it wants to kind of stop white from pushing b4 easily to expand in the queen side. So, in the game, a3. In fact here, this one, although it sounds pretty funny, but Ding repeats what he played against, I think, Ashiri earlier last year. Here, in fact, black can play knight 5, knight 4, even knight 8 is pretty playable too, but a5 is, I think, also pretty subtle. I think the ideas here mainly is the knight 5, take here, queen e7, and then black can play here next to knight 4, or maybe we'll play knight here and bishop here. I think should be pretty equal. So a5 in the game, a3. I think a3, the idea is to play b4 later on, but I think Although not too bad, but I feel that this is not necessary. The engine, in fact, doesn't really like it. To the game. Knight 5. Okay. So Knight 5 here. Actually, for me, this one is pretty classic. I don't know what engine has it. For me, this is pretty classic, but you know, I think engines are being engine for me. Should be 7. Takes 27 here. Where you want? White goes to the center. Right here, understandable. Let's see 1, knight f6, and f3. Knight 6. Basically, Ding had played this on before. And this is the game of him with Ashiri, which I mentioned earlier, right? Anish, who was also in the commentary box, he seems to be pretty happy when he saw this thing, you know. Like, obviously, it's a nice thing to see what you play was played in the World Championship match. But, to be honest, the game of Ding, I mean, like him play with Ding in Chess Evo Master last year, which finished in a draw, doesn't bring plenty of difficulties for Black in the game. Now 182. Here, I think Ding can play b5 before later on, maybe, or maybe it plays c5, which is the game. He followed with the same plan as how he played with Anish. In fact, this move is pretty typical. The idea is that if right now white try e4, the pawn here will be weakened, right? So f3 and c5 is a very typical idea to meet f3. Black straight in the center. Obviously, the pawn d5 here will be a weakness, but the pawn e3 will also be a target too in the future as well. Rest of the game should be 5 here. It's not too easy here to explain this move. The idea of Black is to play maybe c4, expand on the queen side. So this one here trying to keep the rook away from the e file here. Also trying to get the bishop into decent squares. I think that here is not so good due to queen c5, right? And then you must be quite careful with your pawn on e3. And here I think Black is doing well. Queen d2, you can play, Black can play bishop d7, rook c8, b5, or even d4 here, where I think Black has no trouble. In the game, should be first play. In the game, d8, less than c5. It is not too easy here to suggest another alternative. I guess, you know, the center now is being attacked. I think queen d2 can be another choice here to make. I guess here Black can probably play b6 and play here, or maybe like play bishop d7, which is also playable too in the game. So he chose dc5 first, which is fairly understandable. Now the d4 square belongs to white, but you know, it's not too easy here to find a way to exploit this. c5, queen d2. Here Black can already full equalize by playing d4, in fact. So take here, right? Takes and takes here, and this is basically completely equal, guys. Bishop here can play next, and then I think massive threats here will follow up. So in the game, bishop d7 here was play, takes. And here Ding just play a very nice move, and he play fast actually. Now d7 exclamation mark. This one by the engine, I think is very correct. The knight can go to b6 or e5, and suddenly we got a strong maneuver. The thing is that somehow take on d5 is not even easy. Take here right away is losing due to, let's say here, right? And then the queen decide the game instantly. Queen d5 allow, let's say, queen e3, and this one also doesn't seem fun, since suddenly you can see that white just, I think, be in big trouble right now, right? In big trouble, to be honest. So now the idea is just to play knight to b6, knight c4, and these pawns suddenly are a bit, you know, weak. Somehow now, I mean, obviously Black is not winning yet, and Black is not better, but it's obviously here, so Black is just a bit more comfortable. The pawn d5 is weak, yes it is, but somehow it's not easy to attack yet, and this idea is coming up next. Rook c1 can also be tried. I think the queen, but I think knight e5 can be a good option, and then knight c4 is next. And once again, I don't see any real problems for black. So, in the game, Nepomniachtchi chose knight e4, which I think is quite safe. The knight in the center looks pretty good, right? This is outpost. Defend e3 here, and also, it may kind of offer some kind of threats. Knight b6. Ding plays pretty quickly. When I watch this thing live, in fact, I kind of hope that Ding can try to go for more than a draw. The progression is like, I think, minus 0.1 for black. Apparently very slim, but at the very least, that should be worse. Knight c4 looks quite annoying. I will show you some kind of sample lines that if White is not careful, he might be in trouble. First of all, let's say queen f2 defending things, right? So now black can just play knight c4, and now knight e3 can be a threat. Also queen here as well, and these pawns are in pressure. H1 also can run to knight c4, and then let's say queen f2, knight e3, and black will win a pawn instantly. Right? Thank you, queen c3. And here, if he try let's say rook d1, which is in the game, so it's fine, obviously. And take here is also wrong, since now black can take this, and the pawn here is even safer. This is also come next. b3 allow queen a3, which obviously couldn't be recommended. But in the game, after some thought, Yan defend precisely. Rook d1. c4 obviously. Queen f2. So now obviously here, I think Yan just can cool it very well. I think the only real chance now is something like with, I'm pretty sure something like knight e3. I think so, right? Knight e3. But here it's not working here. Taking queen c3 looks good, but then white can have e4, which is a very nice idea to survive. So now the e4 is not working due to knight e4, and suddenly now the knight here is hanging. If you play knight e4, rook e4 can be a thing, and then the e4 run into this one, right? Knight b5 here can just take, and this one, the pawn here will run later on, right? So basically here, white can restore the material balance. And no way black can, stick to the pawn up. I'm pretty sure here I saw the game live. The engine suggested this one, I think so, like b5. For me, this is very interesting. It will be very nice to see what happened here if they try this, which is typical engine stuff. The main ideas here, I think, lies on the fact that the pawn here can be captured, but must be very easy, very careful. Now b5 here, losing right away to knight a3, right? Now here is fine, but then a4, and then black can start go for this. He's double pawn, but he has plenty activities for the pawn, right? b2 pawn obviously is pretty weak. But in the game, Ding chose a safer approach. We see it. Knight e4. It seems quite strange to place a knight in the corner, but obviously the knight took the queen away, which is very important. Queen e7. One here, defending things. Now, so it's not so easy here anymore. Knight e4, just like you with the rook here, and then you can just play here next, and here later on as well. And it's not too easy now to gain a real edge. Queen f6. And knight b5. It's slouch mark again. A very, I would say against principal moves that leaves the center and goes to the corner. But this is the best move here, since now knight c3 can be a thing, and now the knight can be ready to get back to defend stuff nicely. The pawn d5 now is suddenly a weakness. Now c5 here can be a thing for trying, but I think black can just play this. White can play this one, and then it should be fairly equal again. Now there's no more trying to go for something special. So yeah, Ding go for 7, 34, and we got a repetitions comes. I think in the post interview, didn't even mention D4 as a way to go for some fun, but I assume that he doesn't have enough counterplay. Counterplay. So he chose, a safer approach. Game ended in repetitions. So, in fact, for me, this is a good result for Dean, first of all. Like, he need a draw to restore the confidence, right? In the first 2 games, he was always in trouble in early phase, but here he's fine. Although obviously Nepomniachtchi has prepared a little bit. The Ding's games with Anish has been looked up for sure, but then Ding still confidently equalize. Also, he is even slightly better. He can even try to go for more at some point. But then, he just went for a safe approach. Safe approach for me. For me, it feels like a nice choice. I think the best way for him right now is just to maybe drawing until like game 7, when he just get his confidence back, when he just play better chess, and then he can start trying to go for some kind of special preparations. So, although this is a pretty quick draw, some kind of thing that's not so fun to watch, for me, this can promise some more actions, in some next games. Tomorrow, Ding got white, right? So there can also be a fun games to see. But who knows? Apparently, I think we still got some chess in front of us. So let's all hope for a fascinating matchups. Let's all hope for a great and interesting battles between two of the strongest players in the world right now. And also, at the end, let's hope for great chess. You can see here today that the players play with extremely good accuracy percentage. You see, right? With this accuracy percentage, nobody can even gain an edge. And this thing, I will say, is a very typical thing nowadays between strong players. Neither player ever had an edge in a game and a draw, which is understandable. But still, it shows the strength of the players, right? So, hopefully we can be able to see more better chess later on. And hopefully we can be able to witness history. So, see you guys in the game tomorrow. Have a good day and peace.